So it is time to welcome our featured speaker, which, if you are familiar with Oasis, if you've been coming for any length of time, needs no introduction. However, there are some of you that are new. And so today's featured speaker is Helen Stringer. She is the founder and executive director of Kansas City Oasis. She is also co-founder and the president of the Oasis Network, which is an affiliate organization that helps launch and support other Oasis communities throughout the country. So I will not... You can read her full bio in your yellow program, and it's worth the read. Would you please show some love to our very own, much beloved, Helen Stringer.
Thank you. So, many of you may know, but some of you may not know, that my oldest son is Black. He's fiercely brilliant, articulate, and incredibly loving. Like any parent, I think he has the potential to do amazing, incredible things in this world. In 2009, my ex-husband and I decided that we were going to grow our family through adoption. And with that decision was, so many options and different things, different routes people take. And we really wanted to help meet a need. And what we found was that within the foster care system, there's a desperate need for families to foster care, to offer foster care, and then, if the option presents itself, to adopt. And I'll never forget my son, who's now 9, when he came to our house, 23 months of age. He walked up our walkway, and if you know him, he can light up your world. He had the biggest smile, and before he came to our house that day, I said, I'm not going to get attached, which is total crap. And totally was attached, from the start. And sadly, early on, he has experienced real challenges in his school. We are in the Liberty School District due to being Black and male. One instance, which is the most extreme, when he was in kindergarten on his 3rd day, he didn't get his way during lunchtime, and I don't know why. Still to this day, I don't know what happened. It was probably something non-important, but he swung his lunchbox at the lunch attendant. And so their answer to that was to suspend him, kindergarten, 3rd day, for 3 days. Now, I have other instances too where our situation in the school has continued to show evidence that they're treating him differently. And obviously some of it is conjecture, that I am assuming that he's being treated differently because of the color of his skin and that he's male. I have very legitimate fears of the world he's growing up in. Telling him the news this week, he completely broke down in tears. Now, even though I am the parent of a minority child, I don't for a second try to say that I might have a taste of understanding what it's like, but I don't. As a white individual, I don't know what it's like to be a minority living in this country, so don't hear that in what I'm trying to say. But like many of you, this week has been very, very difficult, dark, confusing, disheartening, all the range of emotions I'm sure many of you have all experienced like myself. I even venture to wonder that if in some way, for half of the country of us, that we feel like this may be as oddly traumatic as 9/11. But what I refuse to do is to sit back or roll over and let hate and intolerance win. Retreating is not an option, and I think many of you would agree with that. Now, my knee-jerk reaction, especially as a mother, is to do and say things that I would really probably regret. I might feel really good in the moment, but I would regret them long term, because deep down, I'm not an angry, hateful person. And I also think it would go against our Oasis values here. Now, many of you may be surprised that I would even venture into kind of talking about something that has happened, like has happened this week. But ideas are asserting themselves that are antithetical to Oasis core values. Fortunately, our very existence is a challenge to bigotry. Therefore, after a time of real mourning, self-care, and reflection, I've made the decision that I have to find productive ways to stand up for the marginalized, for those who are treated with hatred, to stand against ideas that promote racism, bigotry, abuse, sexism, everything that has been going on this week. Now, I shudder to think about all of us going out there and returning hate with hate. Like I said, it's counter to my personal value system, and I also think it can be very unproductive. In Jonathan Haidt's book called The Righteous Mind, Why Good People Are Divided by Politics and Religion, it's a really good read, and it's probably a timely read now. He shares his research on why people are divided by politics and religion. And one finding suggests that there is a better way to truly influence another person's belief system. Now, we all operate with some level of confirmation bias. If you don't know confirmation bias, it basically means that each and every one of us, we have a set belief system, and we tend to kind of seek out information that's going to confirm our existing belief system. Even if in the face of, scientific facts that the earth isn't 6,000 years old, it doesn't matter because their existing belief system says, a totally different thing. But there are windows, and obviously people like Michelle and myself, where we have once believed crazy stuff like that, it's crazy. So I was going to correct myself and try to be nice. I'm sorry, it's not. But have belief systems that are not accurate or valid, there are better ways to actually get to that point where someone might change their mind. The most persuasive conversations are ones where people feel safe, have some level of mutual respect or care for the other person, and we both are open. People have to kind of be ready to have their ideas challenged. Now, I experienced just that, and it's why a lot of you are in this room today. If I hadn't had such a conversation with a friend over a decade ago, I might not be standing before you today, and you may not be in this room today. Back in 2004, we had friends visit from Minneapolis. So I went to a very conservative liberal arts college in downtown Minneapolis that half of the school's probably main purpose is to train ministers for the Assemblies of God, which is a charismatic, very fundamentalist. Now, I never wore long skirts or I do have long hair, but it wasn't that kind of fundamentalist, but they had very backwards ideas such as the ones that kind of Michaela shared. And I have to love when my friend Nate, he's very opinionated, and of course, like I said at that time, I held some pretty conservative religious and political beliefs. And these friends didn't. Minneapolis is progressive. And that school actually is the most progressive of all the Assembly of God schools, and they get a lot of flack for it. They actually fired a bunch of professors recently for it as well, and maybe because those professors kind of produced me, because there's little elements of things where it's like they thought truth would be truth, and if you sought it out, it would prove itself to be true. Well, it didn't really work out like that. So, that professor who said that is now gone. But Nate, they spent 3 days in deep conversation over politics. Now, this is 2004, and when he was about to leave, we all went shopping, went to this bookstore, and we stumbled upon one of Tony Campolo's book. I think it was Red Letter Christian. And if you don't know Tony Campolo, he was an advisor to Clinton. One of the very, very liberal Christians. Has done amazing, wonderful things within evangelicalism, and I have a lot of respect for Tony Campolo. But that book and those conversations that we had started to change my political beliefs. And it's because those people we had mutual respect for each other. I felt safe having these somewhat heated conversations, but we had them, and we kind of enjoyed it to some extent, and we were open. All this to say, I think we have to be thoughtful about how we respond to such harmful ideas. Now, I am not saying that we should be quiet or back down unless we have mutual respect, unless the other person, is open, and these factors. I am not saying that we don't set healthy boundaries for ourselves. I'm also not saying that we don't stand up for people when they are being treated wrongly. But what I am suggesting is that we don't forget to foster friendships, positive relationships with people of differing belief systems, because they can have a very profound impact. Like I said, I wouldn't be standing before you today. Now, each and every one of us, I think here would agree that we are evolved animals, unlike some others. We are. And it's important that we try to recognize when our lizard brain is leading our choices. We can't stoop to their level. And just like Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. I'm sorry, let's try that. When they go low, we go high. Thank you. Seriously, I love it. I love her. During times like these, I think it's of utmost importance that we do look for glimmers of hope. Little shining bright lights, and I've seen many of them this week. Our finest hour, I promise you, is before us. The opportunities that we have now and before us are great, and I think they are going to be world-changing. About 2 months ago, I had the opportunity to go, I was invited to go speak to a Sunday school group to tell them about what we were doing with Oasis. It was a United Methodist church, and the individual that invited me is a part of a retired clergy group that I got connected to a couple years ago. And when he brought me in, he was like, I like to keep them on their toes, And I'm like, oh, okay. So this could be interesting. And they were wonderful, wonderful people, and I really enjoyed getting to talk with them. And I shared about Oasis, and I tried to highlight all the things that we have in common. Like we all have this really great opportunity to be in community with one another and support each other. They volunteer. They were talking about their volunteer efforts. Might I add that this group was about 50 people, age 50 and older. Specifically, a very, very large Sunday school group, and also a very older generation. Or older. So I'm close to old. I'm close to there too. Sorry. So we got to Q&A, and sadly, a lot of it, and I kind of anticipated this, started focusing back on my personal lack of belief, where I tried really hard not to let that go anywhere, and still Q&A kind of went there. And there was this one older woman that was just really she wasn't angry or upset, but she just couldn't understand how I couldn't believe. And it was to the point where she came, I had to revisit her, multiple times raising her hand. She'd ask, kind of rephrase it. And the last time it was just well, I don't understand. How do you wake up in the morning and do, and live, And I was just and my heart goes out to her but for her, because she has hope. Her hope is there within that church. That is her community. That is her love. And that does fuel her. That has given her life. And that's beautiful. But for those of us that don't have that, that's why we have Oasis and we have that here. But what I'll tell her, what I told her then, is what I'll tell you all now. I do have hope. I have hope in the potential good of all humanity. And it is real. I promise you, it is very real. Look around you. It is real. I am hopeful, so hopeful, because of all of you. Because I know a significant number of our population agrees that bigotry, racism, sexism, and abuse is wrong. And I tend to be a really big critic of social media, but oh my gosh, this week, it means that my friend circle is probably in alignment with mine. I put that as healthy boundaries, but you guys, the stuff you have been posting and sharing and doing have given me so much hope. Mary Lee's offering right there, that's a productive, healthy way to answer back to ideas of hatred and intolerance. And I've seen so many ideas and support expressed and given in person, not just in talk. And that gives me so much hope. And you have to look for those things as we try to figure out where we go from here. Last week, Alex still gives me hope. An incredible young adult who now needs us to make sure that we are providing a safe, accepting space and creating opportunities for him to live an authentic life. Now, sadly, I'm not saying it will be okay, so don't hear that either. I don't know. I don't think any of us know. But I do know that we all need to find our hope. Now, there's been a lot of research on hope. One of my favorite books is called Making Hope Happen. It's by a hope researcher that was out of, actually, I think, KU, named Shane Lopez, who sadly lost his life this year. And I'm not sure how or why, but he was actually going to be coming here to speak. But he was a hope researcher, and his entire book is on the power of hope. So I don't know if you know, but skills, ability, and talent are less influential than the amount of hope someone has in being able to accomplish the things they want to accomplish. You have to find those glimmers of hope. So for example, the way I like to illustrate this is that if you have a car with the best engine in it, but you have no will to drive it, totally uninterested, then it's a total waste. It just sits and nothing happens. I do want to warn us all of an emotion that I think is easy for us to get trapped into, and that's apathy. Apathy brought on by a feeling that this problem is so big, it's so daunting, it's multi-layered. It reminds me a lot of my work with hoarders. In my other professional life, I work as a professional organizer. And with my hoarding clients, you walk into their house and there's pathways of stuff and layers upon layers of different things, and all of that stuff has emotional attachment for that homeowner. But we can't give in to apathy. Now, if you feel apathetic about it all, I do encourage you to figure out why you feel that way. Take care of yourself first and foremost. You can't go out and try to help other people unless you are healthy yourself. But I don't want to return to the good old days. I don't know about you, but I don't. I didn't really think the 1950s looks that great, and I don't want to go back there. Oh, just kidding. Okay, I eliminated some slides. I'm going to skip a section here so that I can make sure I wrap this up and get you guys an activity here. All right, most importantly, more than ever, our country needs communities of compassion and reason. My most significant hope lies with all of you right here. We have so much opportunity that lies within building Oasis communities here and across the country. And it's already happening. Right now we have 9 other Oasis communities that are meeting just like this. Like-minded people who believe that it's wrong to treat people hatefully and to be intolerant. We really can have a profound impact on the national conversation, and that conversation starts here. And it starts at lunch, it starts within our community groups, it starts at coffee, it starts within our social groups, it starts when we're out volunteering, it starts when you're out just casually hanging out with people. We can influence the conversation. And it's no coincidence that just within a little less than 3 years, we have garnered an amount of internationally recognized media attention. It's crazy. So 2014, Time Magazine covers Houston Oasis, saying, hey, this is the next, this is the future of community. And then the KC Star here, right, covers, a lot of you found us through that. They give us like a 6-page spread on their Sunday morning magazine. And then that gets picked up by the Washington Post. And then recently, The Atlantic, talking about one of the oldest publications in the U.S., decided to write, wonderfully, might I add, all positive. You can't pay for stuff like that. It's nuts, and it's not coincidence, because what we're doing here has the potential to impact culture, and to impact culture for the better. When we were all on the cruise, yes, we all went on a cruise, and spending happy time together is really important, and I would stress that you seek out fun stuff to do, even amidst times like this. Don't underestimate the power of social networks. I've heard people say, oh, they're just a social club. Well, they're social events because it's important that we connect with one another and we build friendships. And those times are really, really valuable. And social networks are how we get most things done in all cities and entire country. So don't underestimate that. But as we were checking out, Mike Gauss, the executive director of Houston Oasis, said he was in his long line. They're trying to, funnel out 3,000 people as quickly as possible, and you're in these long lines. And he said he heard the person in front of him saying, make sure, telling his spouse, make sure we look up that Oasis group. I really think we'd like to be a part of that. I love that people are more important than beliefs thing they were wearing around. This is just in the line. Of course, Mike found a way to strike up a conversation with them. But it's these t-shirts. I mean, I don't know if you experience the same thing, but I travel and I wear it, and I just wear it, and I try to look friendly. Everyone knows I have resting bitch face, so I'm not as approachable. So if people are willing to say something and approach my scariness, then it's something. But it really is such a simple, profound, they're simple ideas. This is not rocket science, And I'm often surprised, by the response that we've gotten and how everyone wants this. When we had the Atlantic article come out, we started getting inquiries from all over the world. All over the world. Now, they're primarily here in the U.S. and, of course, Canada. But it's everyone wants what you guys are getting now. And I think this is just the start of something that's really amazing, and we can do incredible things here together. Now, the one goal of Oasis is to provide community and build relationships among those who don't fit in religious communities or people who simply resonate with our values. You can believe whatever you want in an ethereal being, but this is what we come together over our 5 values. And by doing that, we lay the groundwork for people, for you, to be empowered, rested, nurtured, inspired, fed, so that you can go out and truly impact the world. Now, I've said it before, but it bears repeating. Having a strong social support system is as good for your health as quitting smoking, as eating well, as drinking less. All those things your doctors like to focus on, but they don't ask you, how many friends do you have? Do you have a community support? They don't, but they should. And it's important. Also, our kids. The opportunity that we have here, getting to at least connect the next generation. But my kids have other friends who have like-minded families that are accepting and will stand up against horrible, horrible ideas of bigotry and racism and sexism. Those kids are also watching for how we respond to all of that too, so we have to be really wise about how we do it. There is not another place in our culture where you can build a social support system that is multi-generational and has the expectation that one where you get together for the sole reason just to support each other. That doesn't happen when you go to your friends, your kids' friends' soccer games, or to that book club meetup. No, it happens right here in communities like Oasis. There is no reason to continue to allow religious institutions to hold the monopoly on building communities of support, communities of influence. Now, instead of doing Q&A, I'm going to do something a little bit different today. You all received little index cards. And I want you to write on them, I want you to write out how you are going to care for yourself and others this week. Jot it down. I want you to commit that to yourself. How are you going to take care of yourself and others this week? And then I'd like to invite a handful of you. I don't know if we have time for more than maybe 6 or 7. I have a mic in back that I'm going to have you guys share what's written on your card. That's all you have time to share. We don't have a lot of time more than that. But we're here to support each other. We're also here to make sure you're taking care of yourself as well. And that's why I want to end here and focus here, because that's what we do here at Oasis.
Thank you.
Is the mic on? Anyone want to start and share what they have on their card? Thanks, JJ.
Yeah. How's it going, everybody? I guess I'll go first. This week, my goal is to quit smoking cigarettes and to do something that helps Leo, D'Entremont, and Billy.
Awesome, thank you. Who else? Go ahead, feel free to step up to the mic.
Hey guys, my goal this week is to engage in community, speak optimistically with a heart of love.
My goal is to get up and out of bed each day. And I'm going to dress up, put my makeup on, look good, feel good. And I'm also going to practice responding kindly and effectively to subtle microaggressions.
Anyone else?
So I'm planning on taking care of others this week by attending Surge today, 3 p.m., I believe, at St. Mark's Church.
What
It's
is
showing
Surge?
up for racial justice, and they're having a meeting. So please come. I will post on the private page the invite for that. I'm also going to be taking care of myself by spending time with the people who rejuvenate me, who care about me, and also saying no occasionally to all the things, all the opportunities that I have that I want to do, but take time for yourself.
Anyone else?
I'm going to try to cultivate in myself and my family a feeling of just gratitude. It's hard to feel grateful right now for what we have, but I think it's a foundational emotion for all kinds of positive things in your life.
Agree.
I'm gonna repair my neighbor's trust that is ruined by whoever ran up to his Trump sign in the middle of the night, tore it up, and put it on his porch under the cover of darkness. So bizarre. But it's gonna be like anyway. So that yeah. So it's in my neighborhood. It's crazy. But anyway, there you go.
So thanks to Julia Lloyd, who I don't know if is here right now, I have the privilege of working a little bit with the Urban Corps Girl Scouts, and I know that people in here probably know this already, but I feel like it's so cliche to say because it's on my Facebook all the time, but the kids know, the kids are noticing, and I really love this organization that Julia lets me work with because she immediately posted on their private group, right? All the troop leaders have this private group so they can communicate messages. And how can we talk about this? And what can we tell the kids or whatever? And I needed to hear that as much as those messages. And I can't remember them right now, so I'm not going to hack them. I'm taking too much time, anyways. But I guess at the end of the day, for me, I just let myself touch the kids more, which I hope doesn't sound awful creepy, guys. I'm also a substitute teacher, and they have this whole zero touch thing, right? Which it makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons, but it really bugs me as a person to be around something anyways. So that's kind of, but that's not a policy with these Girl Scouts, right? So it's a mental shift for me. And I guess maybe I also allow myself to make that mental shift with other people in my life, so that's holding hands. Yesterday we went on a field trip to Science City, and this little girl just sat in my lap, and I'm not even her troop leader, so love and compassion, just touching people, holding people. Cliche. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Sarah. Thank you.
I don't know what I'm doing this week to take care of myself, but now I know. Coming here today is a good start.
Yes. One more. Go ahead, Ben.
So I already started doing this, but I think a good step, I'm avoiding the news. I've been avoiding the news since Tuesday night. I'm avoiding it this week too, probably until I feel ready to handle it. The press makes the money on printing very depressing stories, so sometimes the best you can do is unplug for a little while and get back to normal. Go to the gym, that always makes me feel better. And just reaching out to people, going to social events, being an ear for people who need it. I recognize that it's definitely like my privilege that I get to disconnect and that I get to not think about this for a while. And I feel a little bit guilty about that, but sometimes you just need to pull back a little bit.
Thank you, guys. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up. Oh, one more, sorry. No, just kidding. Good, Gene, go for it.
Can I talk?
Last one. Oh, no, I want to, sorry, two more.
I will not give in to the sky is falling like Chicken Little did. It's going to be okay.
It is. Your song.
I really am going to help the others and be polite.
Thank you. Doesn't get better than that. All right, you guys. Our finest hour is now and on the horizon, and I hope Oasis can be your place of respite, your place of refueling, your place of protection, and your place of acceptance. As Sonia Jackson wrote or said, we must remember that one determined person can make a significant difference, and that a small group of determined people can change the course of history. Mourn, reflect, then dust yourself off and get your hands dirty. The time is now. Thank you.